Walk into the Shanghai Deepwater port today, and you'll see something that should honestly terrify every single person living in the West. 47 million shipping containers being processed annually by fully automated massive cranes without a single American-made component or worker in sight. We spent the last 2 decades comfortably talking about a future competition with China, but the cold truth is that the race is already over, and we are just now waking up to the fact that we lost. While we've been distracted by internal culture wars, social media trends, and political theater, Beijing has been systematically dismantling every single pillar that once made the United States the world's sole superpower. For 75 years, we relied on the belief that American military deterrence, technological innovation, and the almighty dollar were untouchable. But that era is effectively dead. If you study history, you'll realize that great powers don't usually collapse overnight because of one massive battle. They fall because they got lazy, arrogant, and overextended while a hungrier rival played the long game. China is essentially using the exact same playbook against us that we used against the British Empire a century ago. It all starts with the fact that China isn't just a manufacturer, they are the world's factory. They've moved way beyond making cheap plastic toys in fast fashion. Today, they control the essential building blocks of the modern world. They own 80% of the global supply chain for rare earth magnets and nearly all of the high-capacity batteries that will power the next generation of transportation. We found out the hard way during the pandemic that the US can't even produce its own basic antibiotics or medical equipment anymore without Beijing's permission. This isn't just a trade deficit, it's a total loss of sovereignty. Beijing didn't stop at just building factories, though. They've poured over $1 trillion into the Belt and Road Initiative, effectively buying the loyalty of over 150 nations by building their bridges, railroads, and deep-water ports, when the West wouldn't even offer them a loan. While we've been focused on old-school tech and software, they started leapfrogging us in the sectors that will actually dictate who wins the next 50 years. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and advanced biotechnology. They have a massive unfair data advantage because their AI models can train on the data of 1.4 billion people without any privacy restrictions or legal red tape. Their scientists are now deploying quantum communication satellites and radar systems that could, in theory, make our trillion-dollar stealth jets completely visible and our most secure military codes totally useless. We are watching a technological Sputnik moment happen in real time, but this time there is no guarantee that America can catch up. This shift isn't just happening in labs, though. It's happening on the ground in Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. In these regions, the American dream is being replaced by the Chinese reality. When a developing nation needs a 5G network or a high-speed rail line, they don't call Washington, they call Beijing. They do this because China actually builds things, while the US mostly just sends lectures on democracy. This systematic hollowing out of American industrial capacity has left us in a position where we have the world's best technology on paper, but no actual way to build it at scale without relying on our primary adversary. We've traded our long-term national security for short-term corporate profits, and the bill is finally coming due. On the military front, the game has shifted so fundamentally that our old strategies are basically obsolete. China now operates the largest navy on the planet by ship count, and they aren't just building copies of our tech anymore. Their new aircraft carriers, like the Fujian, use electromagnetic launch systems that rival our best gear. But the real threat isn't just their ships, it's their carrier-killer ballistic missiles. These weapons are designed with one specific goal: to make it way too risky for a U.S. Navy carrier group to even get close to the Chinese coast. For the first time since the end of World War II, our unquestioned maritime superiority in the Pacific is gone. But as scary as the military stuff is, the real war isn't being fought with missiles or jets, it's being fought on a balance sheet. China is systematically breaking the dollar's stranglehold on global finance. They are moving away from U.S. treasuries, hoarding thousands of tons of gold, and building their own interbank payment system to bypass Western-controlled networks like SWIFT. They're offering the rest of the world a way out of the Western financial loop, and it is working. When the world sees China building futuristic cities and 10,000 miles of high-speed rail, while American infrastructure is literally crumbling and our cities are struggling with homelessness and crime, the global narrative changes. It's no longer about who has the best system, it's about who can actually get things done. By the time we hit the 2040s, we're looking at a world where the American standard of living has dropped by 20 or 30% because our exorbitant privilege of printing the world's reserve currency has vanished. We are currently sitting on over $36 trillion in national debt with absolutely no viable plan to pay it back, and interest payments are now eating up more of our budget than our entire military. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's just basic cold mathematics. As the Chinese century takes hold, we will likely see the United States forced to retreat from its global police role and focus solely on the Western Hemisphere. For the average American, the transition will feel like a slow-motion car crash. It means the end of cheap imports, higher costs for everything from gas to groceries, and a massive loss of purchasing power as the dollar stabilizes at a much lower level. The easy life that was subsidized for decades by Chinese labor and global dollar dominance is disappearing. The structural rot in our political system, the endless gridlock, and the inability to pass even basic budgets suggests that the window to fix this might have already closed. The 21st century is no longer a story about American exceptionalism. It's a story about a rising power that understood that manufacturing and mathematics win wars long before a single shot is fired. The future is currently being written in the automated ports of Shanghai and the quantum labs of Shenzhen, while the factories of the American heartland remain silent. Ultimately, the fall of the American hegemon serves as a final, sober warning to the world. No amount of military hardware or historical prestige can save a superpower that has lost its economic edge and its ability to pay its own bills. We are witnessing the most significant geopolitical earthquake since the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the center of gravity has shifted east. If we don't change course immediately, if we don't find a way to rebuild our industrial base and get our financial house in order, we're going to wake up in a world where the rules are written in Beijing, and we're just the ones expected to follow them. The era of the American century is over. The only question left is how we survive what comes next.